It was a cold, rainy evening when Billionaire CEO Ethan Cole walked into a small roadside restaurant on the outskirts of the city. He wasn't there for a business meeting or publicity, he just wanted a quiet meal, away from the flashing cameras and fake smiles. But fate had different plans. Because that night, under the dim yellow lights and the smell of fresh coffee, something unforgettable was about to happen. Something that would expose the real heart of a man who had everything, and a woman who had nothing but courage. Backhand index pointing. Right before we dive into this emotional story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Tales, where true emotions meet real storytelling. The restaurant was nearly empty. Only the soft music of an old radio filled the silence. Ethan sat at a corner table, his black suit slightly wet from the rain. His mind was heavy with frustration, board members arguing, his ex-wife demanding more money, and his company under pressure after a massive stock fall. For once, he wished he wasn't Ethan Cole, the billionaire CEO. He just wanted to be a man having dinner in peace. Behind the counter, a young waitress named Lily noticed him. She was in her mid-20s, wearing a faded uniform and a shy smile that carried 1,000 untold stories. Her hands trembled slightly as she wiped the tables. It wasn't exhaustion, it was fear. She had been working double shifts to pay her mother's medical bills. Life had taught her to hide pain behind politeness. But deep inside her was something fierce, something she'd buried long ago, a part of her past she never wanted to show again. When Ethan ordered his meal, he barely looked up. But Lily sensed something different about him, not arrogance, not pride, just quiet sadness. She served him his food gently and whispered, "Enjoy your meal, sir." Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp, scanning the restaurant like she was always alert to danger. Years of surviving tough neighborhoods had made her cautious. Just as Ethan lifted his fork, the door swung open, bang. 5 men stormed in, soaked in rain, faces half covered with masks. They looked rough, dangerous, and desperate. Everyone froze. The old couple in the corner ducked under their table. Lily's heart raced, but her body stayed still. She recognized that kind of walk, calculated, ready to strike. The leader of the group, a tall man with tattoos crawling up his neck, stepped forward and barked, "Ethan Cole, didn't think you'd eat with commoners, huh?" Ethan's eyes widened. He knew instantly, these weren't random robbers. They were from a rival company he'd recently sued over $1 billion contract. The hit wasn't about money. It was revenge. Ethan tried to stay calm, but fear crept through him like ice. One of the men grabbed his collar, pushing him against the wall. Another smashed a glass bottle nearby, threatening the terrified cook. Lily stood frozen for a moment, her mind flashing back to her past, to nights when she fought to protect her younger brother from street gangs, to the years she spent learning self-defense at a women's shelter after escaping abuse. She had promised herself she would never fight again. But now, looking at Ethan's terrified eyes, she knew she couldn't stay silent. The men demanded Ethan's watch, his wallet, and something more, his signature on a fake document they pulled from a briefcase. He refused. The leader punched him hard, sending him to the floor. Blood dripped from Ethan's lip. The customers whimpered quietly, helpless. Then it happened. Lily stepped forward, slow and steady, her eyes burning with focus. "Leave him alone," she said softly. The men laughed. "What will you do, waitress?" one of them mocked. But in the blink of an eye, Lily moved. With precise, lightning-fast movements, she twisted the man's wrist, disarming him. The others lunged forward, but she was already in motion, using their weight against them, dodging, striking pressure points, sweeping legs. In less than a minute, 3 men were on the ground, groaning in pain. The restaurant went silent, except for the sound of rain tapping the windows. Ethan stared, breathless, as the woman who served his dinner fought like a trained soldier. But Lily wasn't fueled by anger, she was calm, disciplined, and heartbreakingly controlled. The leader pulled a knife, charging at her, but she sidestepped and kicked it out of his hand, slamming him into a table. The knife clattered on the floor, spinning to a stop near Ethan's shoes. By the time the police arrived, called by the trembling cook, all 5 men were subdued, tied up with extension cords and napkin ropes Lily had improvised. The officers were stunned when they found out the billionaire's life had been saved by a restaurant waitress. But when they tried to question her, Lily simply wiped her hands, took off her apron, and said, "Just doing my job." Later that night, Ethan insisted on thanking her personally. But she refused money, saying quietly, "I've seen what money does to people. Just do something good for someone who can't return it." Then she walked out into the rain, disappearing into the dark. Ethan couldn't forget her. In the following weeks, he found out about her mother in a small clinic, her debts, her struggle. Quietly, without letting her know, he paid off every bill and transferred funds to the clinic under an anonymous donor name. But he didn't stop there. Inspired by her courage, he launched a new foundation, the Lily Project, dedicated to helping women escape abuse and rebuild their lives. Months later, Lily received a letter from the foundation, inviting her to be part of their team as a self-defense instructor. When she arrived at the office for her first day, she was shocked to find Ethan waiting at the entrance, smiling softly. "You saved me once," he said. "Now, let's save others, together." Tears filled her eyes as she realized that her act of courage had changed not only his life but countless others. That night in the restaurant wasn't about violence, it was about humanity, redemption, and 2 broken souls finding strength in kindness. Years later, their foundation spread across the country, rescuing thousands of women. And every time Ethan looked at a woman learning to stand up for herself, he remembered that rainy night, and the waitress who refused to let fear win. Sparkling Heart, if this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe to Kindness Tales to keep the spirit of compassion alive, because sometimes, the smallest act of bravery can change the world. Dove special request, comment below, kindness always wins, if you believe that courage and compassion still exist in this world.